I'm Tim White, and we're here with Eyewitness News political analyst Joe Fleming, and we're, of course, digesting the mayoral debate that was just hosted here at PPAC. First question, as always, did you see any winners or losers?
I think the winner tonight, Tim, was the city of Providence, the people in the city of Providence. I think we had all the candidates who addressed issues tonight, talked about how they felt the city of Providence should be run. They did it in a orderly fashion where they got their opinions out, and they were not attacking each other with a lot of negatives tonight. So I think in that sense, there was a clear winner, the voters of the city of Providence. As far as the candidates, one candidate being better than the other, no, I didn't see that tonight. Where in the other debate, the congressional debate, we saw a candidate stick out and a candidate not do very well. But tonight, the candidates basically answered the questions. No one seemed like they fumbled through the questions. They were pretty much on issues, trying to answer what you asked them.
You know, I'm not aware of any other televised mayoral debate that's going to happen before September 14th. So with that in mind, and as you say, no one really came out swinging, was this a missed opportunity?
I think it could have been for these candidates. I think there was a chance tonight if one of them could have broken out of the pack and stood out. The perception around the city is simply that it's a very close race between Mr. Tavares, Mr. Constantino, and Mr. Lombardi. There's been no public polls on this, so nobody knows for sure. But if that perception is true, none of the three of them pulled away from the others. You know, they had an opportunity possibly. Maybe they didn't feel they could position themselves correctly on issues to pull away tonight. They just didn't want to make a mistake tonight. Because, again, sometimes in debates when you get closer to the election, you're afraid if you make a mistake and make the wrong step, you could blow the election and not have any chance a couple weeks down the road. So I think they may have been more cautious tonight than they had to be. I think they could have been a little more forward and try to distinguish themselves from each other. I didn't see that at all tonight.
One thing that stood out to me, however, and again, you don't see a lot of them debate, but Mr. Tavares did seem to try and not come out swinging, but have a little more of an edge to him than I've heard in the past. Did you see that at all?
Well, I saw a little bit. I mean, he tried to position himself as sort of the outsider, where the gentleman on his left and right, where people have been in government for years, who've had opportunities to make changes and have not made the changes. And he's trying to say, well, I was a housing court judge, but I was not an elected official, and that I'm somebody different, and I'm somebody who's come from the south side of Providence and worked my way up through Head Start up to Harvard University and made progress. But again, I don't think he's still stuck out enough to be much different from the other two candidates on his left and right.
All right, well, of course, the wild horse in the mayoral debate is always Christopher Young. He always does something sort of shocking. Clearly, tonight was a stunt. He proposed to his girlfriend in at the very end of a broadcast debate. The only question I have for you is, should he have done it at the beginning?
I don't know. I mean, he got people's attention when he did that. I will say, though, Chris Young made some statements tonight that I think some people in Providence probably agree with. You know, he's saying the politicians say this all the time. The politicians do that all the time. People might have said, yeah, he's right on those questions. Doesn't mean they're going to vote for him, but they may agree with him on some of the statements that he made tonight.
There is always, of course, the question that he might do something. He's had that history in the past. Were you surprised at how relatively controlled he was?
I thought Chris Young did a very good job with the questions as far as basically stopping when he was told to stop. He answered the questions like the other candidates. He did take shots at the other candidates more than the other candidates took at him or each other. I think he was trying to get the candidates to bite on some of the things he was saying to get the debate more lively, but that didn't happen. The candidates basically stuck to their message, stuck to their script, what they wanted to talk about tonight. So Chris Young was Chris Young, and he basically went out there and did his thing.
John Scott, how did he do?
For the first time, it's the first time I heard John Scott. I think he did a decent job. Again, his campaign is just getting started. He's not very well known. He, as he said, he doesn't have any money yet, or he hasn't filed a campaign finance report yet, so we don't know how much money he's going to have. But he's going to have to really build up a lot of name recognition in the city of Providence to have a chance. I think what's going to happen, whoever comes out ahead on September 14th is going to be the overwhelming favorite in November. Mr. Scott's going to build up a sizable war chest in order to get himself better known and positioned on the issues.
All right. You know, and with all these debates, last question, Joe. With all these debates, we usually can tell who the front runner is because they are just dodging political dodgeballs, you know. But I don't know that we saw that tonight. Do we know who the front runner is yet?
No, I think we have a three-headed front runner here. Constantino, Lombardi, and Tavares. All three of them are sort of the front runners for the primary. I think it's a very close race going down the stretch. And I think a lot of it's going to come on September 14th on the turnout in the city of Providence. Which one of these three candidates can get out their voters to the polls? I think whoever does the best job on that is probably going to win the Democratic primary.
All right, then who does better with a high turnout? Who does better with a low turnout? Any thought on that?
Well, Obviously, people feel Mr. Tavares is doing very well on the east side, and so the east side turns out very heavily. That should favor him. Obviously, Federal Hill, we don't know what's going to happen there because Mr. Lombardi and Mr. Constantino is both from there. So we expect a big turnout there, but if that vote gets divided, that's not going to help either one of those two candidates. So as I said, I think we're going to look at Mount Pleasant and see how Mount Pleasant comes out on the primary day and see who does very well there when the returns come in. That may have a strong indication on how this election is going to go.
All right. Eyewitness News political analyst Joe Fleming, thanks for joining us, and thanks for watching WPRI.com.